how do we delicately balance the blend between content and commerce? Because if we achieve that, there's no question that we achieve the ultimate goal, which is, of course, to engage our consumer, but also to drive our business forward with revenue. So before I start speaking, I actually am going to play a quick video for those of you who haven't had a chance to go visit our store. And this will be a good segue into the presentation that I'll walk you through. So if we could cue the video. So as you can see here, we have actually fully embraced omnichannel theater. This is our store, our flagship store, 96 Green Street in Soho. And as you can see, when you walk into the store, there's a huge video wall or connected wall that Rebecca is touching right here. Like any place that you go, we want to welcome you into our store. We offer you a beverage, or we offer you the opportunity to engage in our looks or most recent seasonally relevant products. And as you can see with Rebecca, she just selected a few looks. They went to a virtual fitting room. She just gave her cell phone number, and now one of the stylists who is in the store is going to actually text message her when her fitting room is actually full of the products she picked. Now, for those of you women in the audience, you know you never quite go directly to the fitting room. You pick up some items along the way. So what Rebecca's demonstrating here is all of our items actually are embedded with RFID technology. So as you saw when she walked in, it actually recognizes the products. And what Rebecca's doing here is she's showing you, we realized our consumer wants to see what a product looks like at night, during the day, or at work. And now what she's actually showing you is why not blend some of the great things in commerce into real life. So right here, you've picked the Madge skirt. Well, guess what? We discovered 70% of our consumers wanted to see what does that go with. It's a recommendation. And then another 30% of our consumers actually asked for those items to be brought into the fitting room. So again, as you can see in this video, we're all about touching on all the different senses. So these are the points that keep me up at night. How do we flawlessly execute this omnichannel marketing in such a complex ecosystem? For Rebecca Minkoff, it's about our consumer. Our consumer is an 18 to 34-year-old woman. We consider her bohemian rocker chic. So she has a lot of dualities. She's complex, she's passionate, she's conscientious. And our objective is, how do we empower her? And when I'm saying empower, I mean, how do we empower her when she's shopping in store? How do we empower her through any device that she wants to use at any time, anywhere in the world? And how do we empower her with things like ratings and reviews so she can make smart decisions? So what we want to do is we want to resolve pain points for her. And one of the most important things for me, I actually have both a technical and a marketing background, is I never, ever want to do technology for the sake of doing technology. To me, technology should be seamless, and it should be something that delivers value to our consumer, but similar to like Steve Jobs and Apple, it's just there. There's a reason why you don't have a manual with your iPhone. It's because it's intuitive, and it's something you enjoy doing, and that's how we approach technology as well. So for us, especially given our consumer, the 18 to 34-year-old female, it's critical to understand that mobile is her lifeline. This stat the other day just blew me away. It's actually interesting, and I would challenge all of you. I actually made myself go through this challenge. How many times a day do I look at my phone? Unfortunately, it was higher than this number, which is exceptionally disturbing but fascinating. Our girl, on average, looks at her phone about 150 times a day. So as you can see, depending on whether she's at work, maybe the desktop might spike at that point, and maybe at home, if she's on the older end of our 34 range, she's on her tablet. But as you can see, the constant is mobile. So for us, when we're looking at omnichannel marketing, how we look at it is we start with mobile. It's the most important device and channel that we focus on. So as you can see here, this is our mobile app, and I just want to call out a few features on it. You can see there are two tabs. The first one is around Discover, and then the second one is around Shop. This was a very conscious decision on our part, because as you'll see, I think it's tremendously important, and the brands who are winning right now are the ones who are figuring out the perfect blend between content and commerce. So this is our app that features Discover and Shop. You can see, of course, we have the utility features, such as where are our stores, what are the store hours, all of that. And of course, we have information about our product. But the feature I want to call out, hence the little blue circle that says My RM. So intuitively, to many of you in the audience who I'm sure are quite bright in this area, understand usually that's your account information. And it's just a repository for credit card, address, and things like that. In our case, we wanted to take it one step further. What we actually have in here is we have stored all the fitting room sessions that you did in our physical store. So you're on your mobile app, you may leave our store, you may be at home, and you remember you tried on that black something or other, Moto something or other, and you can't remember what it is. Guess what? You can look in your app in MyRM, you know the exact size and color of what you tried on, and we want to facilitate. If you want to buy it then, you can, or if you want to put it on the wish list, you can. So again, it's an opportunity to blend the on and the offline world. So as I mentioned, for us, one of the points, building on what I said earlier, that keeps me up at night, is not only this obscenely complex ecosystem that we play in at this point, but it's also how do we delicately balance the blend between content and commerce? Because if we achieve that, there's no question that we achieve the ultimate goal, which is, of course, to engage our consumer, but also to drive our business forward with revenue. Hence, for us, one of the most important things when I started at Rebecca Minkoff was looking at a responsive website. And where that's extremely powerful is when you start to think about all the content choices you have. You have videos, you have UGC, you have ratings and reviews, you have beautiful editorial pieces. Where is this stuff going to live, and how do you port it from channel to channel to channel? And this is where our responsive nature of our website and our mobile site are really important, because it does port seamlessly across these channels. And by the way, it also ports seamlessly into our store on the connected wall and fitting room. So our ecosystem is fully connected. I think another point that I want to call out here is you have to find the appropriate home for different types of content. And for us, RM Edit is one of the places that we have the most fun. RM Edit is actually our blog, and where we have in there is some content. It can be everything from Rebecca's favorite eggs dish that she makes with her kids on Sundays, to the latest cool bar that somebody in our design team spotted in Paris, to bloggers who are wearing our outfits and we randomly found. So again, it gives us a forum to incorporate disparate pieces of content and tell a story. And for us, the ultimate culmination in all of this content and commerce comes together in our store. If you've seen our video wall, what you see is this immense, beautiful, immersive experience. And for me, there's no other better place to show a runway video. So this is the layer of the technology behind all of the magic. At the end of the day, I think of our store as just, it's a beautiful experience, but it is wired by a lot of smart technology, and that can't be underestimated. We leverage beacon technology. We also leverage RFID tags for inventory. And as you saw with the fitting room, every single item in our store has RFID. So when you walk into the fitting room, it recognizes it and then can give recommendations on what to wear it with. And then finally, Wi-Fi. I consider Wi-Fi as sort of the backbone to all of this. And what this enables us to do is to hyper-target our consumer. And what I mean by that is we can make her shopping experience far more meaningful with us when she opts in to participate in these different points, and we can serve up more relevant content and ideas to her real time as she's in our store, or possibly as she leaves our store. So for me, this is sort of the holy grail, if you will, in terms of everything in omnichannel. It's about collecting, leveraging, and implementing the omnichannel data. So I think of all the different touch points here. You have mobile, you have your site, you have PR and events, and I think that's one area that has been overlooked because there's tons of insights. You don't necessarily get quantitative facts in a Likert scale, but what you get is real-time consumer insights that you can leverage and make better decisions from. And then, of course, our retail store data. One of my favorite data points here is, if any of you have experienced e-commerce, one of those metrics that you look at again and again on every single dashboard is shopping cart abandonment and conversion. Those are sort of like the stakeholders. What we've been able to do now is actually come up with what is our dressing room abandonment rate. So now we can look at dressing room abandonment in our retail store in conjunction to shopping cart abandonment. And now we're starting to actually get a holistic picture of our omnichannel consumer. And we can see as she traverses across these different channels what her behavior is, and we can help her make informed decisions when it's right for her. And I had to say, a lot of people think the data stuff is boring. I inherently think this is actually one of the most creative and fascinating parts of marketing today. So it's not just about the data. I don't want to get lost in the data, because right now, one of my favorite terms that I use is data exhaust. Because I don't think any of us have a shortage of data. It's what do you do with it, and how do you use it, and do you have the right people, basically, who have access to it. So building on this, I think there are really 4 key ways that you can win right now in this omni-channel marketing way. It is leadership, it's expertise, it's linkage, and it's communication. And when I'm talking about leadership, I think it's critical to understand, and I'll explain this animation, the appetite to innovate, ability to embrace not just risk, but I like to call it smart risk, and also to experiment. So as you'll see in one of the corners, what looks like a normal bracelet, those are our wearables that we've launched a few months ago. They are beautiful, they are lovely to wear, and they serve a purpose. What I'm also showing you, what this animation is in our latest fashion show that we just did, we did 2 really interesting things. One is we partnered with GoPro, and we did a virtual live screening of the actual fashion show. How we did that is we did it from 3 cameras, because I was noticing with my team, a lot of people on social media were like, I wish I could come to the fashion show, I wish I had more access to see what happens behind the scenes. And again, we were listening to the consumers. We took those insights and we're like, why not reach out to GoPro? Why not have a camera follow Rebecca around behind the scenes? Have a camera that's pointed right at our band, because for us, a key part of our show is music. And then the third piece is we approached one of our friends who's front row and said, would you mind holding this device for us and basically being our little eyes and ears and show us what you're interested in? And that's what we streamed from a live perspective, so every single one of our consumers from Des Moines to wherever actually could understand what the show was like. And where it was really impactful was interesting, because I was behind the scenes with Rebecca throughout the whole show and with my team. I saw it afterwards, and it's fascinating. Because what you see in runway shows is you see that 8 minutes of perfection, just beautiful models, everything, and it seems so controlled. But what was fascinating about the live streaming is you see the backstage and you see the chaos that is ensuing on people changing quickly, the last minute touches, what have you. And I think that's what brings our consumer closer to us. And she also sees Rebecca when she's having those very intimate moments, because she's a person. She's beyond inspiring, but you see her going like this, tweaking a little belt. She cares. And again, that helps our consumer connect to our brand, which I think is extremely important. Another thing that we did during the show that's not going to be available for 2 to 3 months is we actually partnered with a company, I should say, called Jaunt. And what Jaunt did was, through their different technology, we used special cameras, we filmed the show in another way that will be available in 2 or 3 months via Google Cardboard, that's what that little animation is, and Oculus Rift. That's what those cool glass things are. How many of you have played with Oculus Rift? Yeah, if you haven't played yet, you have to do it. It is spectacular. It's out of this world. It's very gaming-like, but it's so cool. And I think the interesting thing as a marketer is where you see the experience now, and how do you translate and evolve it into something that actually works for your consumer is meaningful. For us, what we're going to do is release footage. It's going to be 3D virtual reality of our show. And the reason we can't release it for 2 to 3 months is because all the technology is catching up with that. Right now, you can only see it on Android devices, and we want to make sure, again, that we give our consumer content how she wants it, when she wants it, where she wants it. It's not on iOS yet, so that's why we're releasing it when it can go across every platform. So the second key thing to winning in this omnichannel world is expertise. Of course, you have to have expertise in your product. But to me, one of the hardest things and one of the most exciting parts of omnichannel marketing is finding what I call the purple squirrel. What the purple squirrel is, and I know that looks a bit silly, is to me, let me describe to you my editorial director on my team right now. She has a marketing degree. She has an unbelievable eye and aesthetic. She runs all of our photo shoots. And by the way, she also has a quantitative side where she understands all the e-commerce metrics. That, to me, is what I am saying is a purple squirrel. And I've been fortunate enough to find about 12 of them for my team. And this is something where I think it's really unique right now, finding people who have these hybrid skill sets, because nobody started out their career usually in just one of these areas. So you have to have people who have a curiosity and a thirst for knowledge, who jump between different areas, who want to be on this sort of wild journey with you. The third piece here is org structure. I can't talk about omnichannel without talking about org structure. It is absolutely critical that you get rid of the silos. Otherwise, you have no hope of winning in this space. You know, where does brand marketing sit? Where does PR sit? Where does events? Where does creative? All of these different departments. For many years, what most companies have done is those have been silos. And when you think about the KPIs or the key performance indicators, everyone may actually have different KPIs. So they weren't incentivized to work together and to work for the consumer in an omni-channel way. This is breaking down those barriers and recognizing all your KPIs should be 100% aligned to deliver on the best experience for your consumer. And once you all get behind that, that's when you can actually unlock the magic. And the fourth piece, which you can't overlook, it's all about communication. As I said to you, what keeps me up at night, and I do genuinely mean keeps me up at night, is around this point. Because things move so fast, you have so many different data points, you have so many amazing creative ideas, you have to make sure that you're being clear, concise, and where maybe one idea actually doesn't seem like it has any relevance for the PR team or the events team, of course it does, because maybe they can take it in a different way that your creative team hasn't thought of. So it's about over-communicating. And if you get all of this right, that's where the magic happens, not only again for your consumer, but you see it from a business perspective. And that's where you can drive the lifetime value. Thank you.